What's up, everybody? Welcome to the second edition of the opening round 3 ball. I am your host for this quick little video, Jason Rouslin, and as you can see in my byline, I'm the Disney apparel maniac and also the PGA analyst here for @awesemo.com. Find me on Twitter at DFSGolfer23, and of course, be sure to like and subscribe to this video wherever you're watching it, probably through YouTube, as it helps make sure that you like the content and continue to produce it every week. So, without further ado, last week we had the Honda Classic, which ended up actually being quite an exciting golf tournament. If you watched it on Sunday, you saw Keith Mitchell come down and bury a 15-footer to knock Koepka and Fowler, the tournament favorites, out of the tournament and take the win. So congratulations to Keith Mitchell, and what a fantastic tournament it really was. And now the PGA Tour heads just up Interstate 95, and then it'll turn just a tad bit inland once it reaches just about 2 hours north of where it was, and they head to Orlando, Florida, and they head to Bay Hill Golf Club for the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Now, as I just mentioned, the golf course, Bay Hill Golf Club, it's going to measure right around 7,400 yards, a par 72. It's thought to be a bomber's paradise with wider fairways and shorter par fours. But it does play a little tougher than some might suspect. It ranked 9th hardest on the PGA Tour last year out of about 50 golf courses that they played last season, which for a golf course that only measures 7,400 yards and is a par 72 that has 4 par 5s, you normally see an under par cut. But the last couple of years we've been at even and 1 over, as the course just does have some tough green complexes, and around the greens are a little bit more difficult as well. So it will play a little bit more difficult maybe than the yardage might suggest. The tournament itself, which is now called the Arnold Palmer Invitational, it was first called the Florida Sitges Open, and it preceded that, and it moved to Bay Hill and became an Invitational in 1979. 15 of the top 30 golfers in the world are here to compete. And sadly, not one of those is Tiger Woods, as he had to withdraw to a neck strain at the beginning of this week. Hopefully we'll see Tiger again pretty soon. So this week, where are we going to play DraftKings and FanDuel, or where are we going to play Daily Fantasy Golf? And the top prize this week is being offered by DraftKings. It's $150,000 to first. They'll take you a $5 buy-in to get that. Also offering a $100K to first for both the $44 and the $444 buy-in. FanDuel has upped their prize pools just a little bit this week, as they're going to give $25,000 to first place for a $7.77 buy-in. The guarantee on that is $125,000. So some pretty good contests. Obviously, the course is probably thought. The sites probably thought that Tiger would be playing, and we got a little bit of an increase, but I don't think there will be a shortage of interest with such a good field. Speaking of such a good field, let's head over to the players now, as the top guy on the board this week is Rory McIlroy. He is also the defending champion. He checks in at 11,400 on DraftKings, 12,200 on FanDuel. Rory comes in not only the defending champion of the event, but he's also in fantastic form. If it wasn't for an extremely hot Dustin Johnson, who seemingly couldn't miss a shot there down in Mexico, he would have won by 3, as he came behind DJ, and the next closest competitor was behind Rory by quite a bit. So Rory took second there, would have taken first if DJ wasn't in the field. He also backed that up with a 4th at the Genesis and a 5th at the Farmers. So 3 straight top 5s for Rory. As I just mentioned, he's the defending champion of the event. He also placed 4th here in 2017. And 27th here in 2016. So obviously, course familiarity with Rory McIlroy is quite significant, and he likes it a lot. And last year, which was funny, we know Rory, if you know Rory and watch golf quite a bit, he does a lot of his damage off the tee. But last year, it was his approaches that was significantly better than the rest of the field. And if that continues and he gets a hot putter on these Bermuda greens, no reason why Rory McIlroy wouldn't be able to go out and repeat as champion. Strokes gained on the approach, as I just mentioned, he's 34th on the year and 52nd in 2018. So having a little bit of a better year, and obviously the results are following. Second golfer we're going to focus on is Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson has obviously made waves over the past year. He's won about, I think, 4 times now worldwide, and has just been on a torrid run. Now, granted, down in Mexico, he didn't play as well, but we'll get into that in a minute. So he checks in at DraftKings at a reasonable 9,700 price, especially with the upside that he has. Although on FanDuel is a little bit more expensive at 11,200. I just mentioned his recent form down in Mexico was a bit off. And I'm not sure what that had to do with, but I think if I had to pin something, it would be his scientific attitude and mental makeup probably allowed him to think too much of the altitude changes and just didn't go out and hit the golf ball. Did everything but hit the golf ball where he wanted. So I don't suspect that'll continue this week, and it didn't continue the weeks prior as he was 15th at the Genesis and 6th out in the desert at the Waste Management. So pretty good. Actually, he wasn't in the Waste Management. He was out in Europe, but still a 6th place finish is pretty good. Course history, he came second here last year to Rory McIlroy. 2017, he wasn't able to play, but in 2016, as a sponsor's invite, he came in 27th. Strokes gained on the approach, as we know, that's one we always want to focus on in this Florida swing, as it is. Most of the courses here in Florida are going to be positional golf courses off the tee, so strokes gained on the approach is more important. 2018, we saw his number increase into the top 10. Whereas this year it's a little bit down, but as I just mentioned, that's more than likely due to the last time he played down in Mexico, the start. It was just not very good. So I suspect the 36 number will improve after he plays this week. The final golfer in our opening round 3 ball is Justin Rose. Justin Rose, the number 2 ranked golfer in the world, just eclipsed by Dustin Johnson here in the last 2 weeks. Checks in at 10,700 on DraftKings and 12,100 on FanDuel. His recent form is definitely a bit of a roller coaster as he gets used to his new clubs, as he left TaylorMade for the first time in his career and went to Huma. And his last start was a miscut out in Saudi, but that was a week after his win at the Farmers Insurance Open. So I'm not taking too much stock in Justin Rose's miscut there out in Saudi Arabia. 34th at the Desert Classic. That was his first start with his new club. So, again, I don't put too much stock into that one either. Obviously, the course sets up really well for a golfer like Rose, who's normally pretty consistent off the tee and normally also very good with his irons, as you can tell in the strokes gained approach numbers there below. Course history is 3rd last year, 13th in 2017, and 9th in 2016. So you can get some pretty darn good consistency with Justin Rose, obviously, this week. He comes in 19th ranked on the year in strokes gained approaches, so obviously not having too much trouble with those irons, the new irons. And 44th in 2018, but obviously that didn't hold him back that much. He did ride a relatively hot putter for a lot of the year. So that ends our opening round 3 ball players, at least at this point. And, I'm really excited for this week. Obviously, with Tiger Woods not being in the field, it does put a little bit of a damper. I'm a fan myself, admittedly. So hopefully we'll see him again. If not next week, I suspect we're going to start to see him, or we will see him at the Valspar, because he's going to want to get at least one start here in Florida as long as, his neck is okay. So I suspect that if we don't see him at the Players, he'll add Valspar Championship to his mix. It may be the last tournament, depending on his health before the Masters, so stay tuned for that. And, of course, if you want to see more content and you like this, go ahead over to awesemo.com/PGA/FirstCutAPI. That's our free article this week. I go over a little bit more of what we talked about here in more detail and, of course, go into more of the stats. So if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to see more of these type of videos on all of the sports, and then head over to awesemo.com, of course, for my full analysis. Thanks for joining everybody this week, and we'll see you next week.